In this video, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I've had some stories on YouTube in the past where I've dealt with a ornery homeowner who was very difficult to deal with and didn't quite understand what it's like to operate a lawn care business and thought that I had one yard like he has 1 yard and I should put that much effort into his 1 yard. And so there's been some run-ins with homeowners, but that is a little bit of a misconception because about 99% of my customers are outstanding, and the ones that are not outstanding, I usually separate myself from them. They either fire me or I fire them. So in this video, I want to kind of put that to rest a little bit, that there's this disagreement between homeowners and lawn care professionals, and I wanted to offer 5 different tips from each side could learn from the other. So what could the lawn care professional learn from the homeowner about the yard, and vice versa? What could the homeowner learn from the lawn care pro? Because usually they're coming at it from a little bit different perspective, and I think we can actually mutually benefit each other. Let's get started. So let me start with what the homeowner could actually learn from the lawn care professional, because I think there's some mistakes that homeowners make that they could benefit if they would, take some tips. I'm talking about the homeowner that wants to learn from. Some homeowners just hire the professional. They don't care anything about their yard. Others, I guess I'm talking about that professional, or the homeowner rather, that's out there working on the yard, trying real hard to make it look good, and what could they learn if they would ask the lawn pro. So number 1 tip would be, and I'm gonna kind of go back and forth between like a weed control perspective and fertilization versus mowing the grass. So number 1 would be premium products. I think one of the things that a misconception out there is that a lot of the products we use doing weed control and fertilization are only available to professionals, and that's usually not true. Most of the stuff that I use on a yard is available to just about anyone. You can buy it online or go get it at a store. And so there's often a significant difference in the results you'll get by using the premium products, which we use, and versus the stuff you might get at the big box store. Now, some of those are actually going to have similar ingredients but different formulations. But the other key to that is oftentimes they're paying a premium price for a not so premium product at the big box store. That if you look at what we use, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes we actually pay less per application than the homeowner's doing for better results. So I would say number 1 thing they can learn, these aren't in a particular order again, but that use the good products because you get the good results, and that makes a huge difference. The second thing that I would say along those same lines is the timing of your applications is very, very important. I can't tell you how many times it's this time of year. Okay, I'm in Alabama, and we're watching the, NCAA basketball tournament, Masters golf tournament, and they start advertising some kind of weed and feed product you should spray on your lawn. And I'm thinking to myself, I was like, that might have been a good product to spray about 2 months ago, but it's too late. To put out a pre-emergent in my area. I'm not saying it's useless, but you done missed the window of what would have been the ideal time to apply a pre-emergent. So sometimes I get customers and they hire me in my weed control business, and they say, Jason, I sprayed such and such a product on my yard and it just didn't work. Weed and feed, looks like I was feeding the weeds, stuff like that. Well, a lot of times the product might have actually worked, but they did it at the wrong time. The third thing I think the homeowner can learn from the pro is that there actually is skill involved in what we do. And I'll shift over to like mowing grass. I think when the guys are out there mowing grass, or whoever mows the lawn, sometimes the homeowner doesn't give respect that it actually does take a little bit of talent to, whether it be like flipping your string trimmer upside down and really making that tree bed look good, or tree ring, or the flower bed, or whatever, shrub bed, landscaping, making it look good, even riding the lawnmower. There is some skill involved in what we do, and not everybody can do it to the same degree. And even between lawn care companies that you might hire, you'll find that one is actually a lot better than the other, or maybe a little bit better, noticeably better, and the results are better. Now, some of that is just they care, but other is just they're just more skilled at what they're doing. It's like I'm not saying it's like an athletic competition in that sense, but there's a sense where some people are better than others, just like if you were playing golf. You know, somebody is better at golf than the other person. Somebody is better at using a string trimmer, mower, edger, blower than other people. It's not that hard, but it's not just totally unskilled either. The fourth thing I think the homeowner could learn from the pro, and if I ever get out of the lawn business and just do my own yard, I think I would carry this over, is that the equipment does matter, okay? And I understand if you're just mowing one yard, you think, oh, I just got one yard, I just need a cheap mower and a cheap trimmer and a cheap edger, you know, but I feel like I've done too much into this to where if I sell my business one day and I just want to mow my own grass, I'm probably still gonna have a pretty nice mower and a pretty nice trimmer and things like that, because it makes a huge difference. I mean, I hate using a sorry, cheap string trimmer that will barely half cut the grass, you know, and you flip it upside down, which I know people have opinions on that and all that, but you flip it and it won't die, it stalls out and dies. Well, the ones I use, you can flip them upside down, they work fine, okay? So the equipment does make a huge difference. I mean, even cutting my grass, like a Bermuda lawn, it gets real thick in the summertime, and I don't need it bogging down because I got a weak mower that won't handle the grass. Sometimes the disadvantage that the homeowner has is they just have sorry equipment, and that makes a difference. And the last thing I want to mention, fifth thing that the homeowner can learn from the pro, and I'll share a story, I've shared this over and over and over again, but it's worth hearing again if you hadn't heard it. But years ago, I picked up this customer, and this guy was so particular. He looked like he trimmed his bushes twice a week. And I pull out, and the neighbor's actually saying, he's like telling me, like, you're gonna have a hard time pleasing this guy. And I'm like, oh, what's so hard? His yard looked basically immaculate, you know, already. And so I go spray it, sprayed his yard. I go back the next time, you know, 6-8 weeks later, I don't know. And he doesn't even, he pulls into his garage, gets out of the car. I say, hey, I'm here to spray the yard. He's like, you ain't killing the weeds, I'm killing the weeds. And he didn't want me to spray it again, fired me. Of course, didn't have the courtesy to let me know. You know, I drove out there, and you know, not a decent human in my opinion. But what bothers me about that is, well, a lot of things bother me about that. But I think what the lesson that can be learned is, some of these homeowners need to realize that their lawn care professional has more than one yard to take care of. You know. Yes, your yard looks great, but you know what? I don't have 4 hours to spend on your yard. I just don't have 4 hours to spend on your yard unless you want to pay me a couple $1,000. You know, they have no concept of that we're actually trying to make a living here, and that I've got to get a lot of yards. Now, there's the other side of it. You can't just fly through there and do a sorry job because you got to go do more yards. But there is a sense in where I got to get more than 3 yards done today to make any money. I mean, and people don't realize, they think, well, why didn't you spend all day on my yard? I spent all day, look how great my yard, the neighbor comes over, my yard looks better than your yard, and you got a professional do it. It's like, you know what, yes, why? Because you got all day to sit there, and you ain't had a hobby in the last 25 years. You know, so the people ain't got nothing to do but to go out there and trim their bushes again because one leaf was out of place. So, you know, you say I feel pretty strongly about that, but the homeowner needs to recognize that we are trying to do a good job, but we also got to make a living, and that requires us to get a little bit of production done in a typical day. Let me calm down and switch over to the other side. And what can the professionals actually learn from the homeowners? And there are some things. I came up with 5. It wasn't that hard to come up with 5. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to mention that the pros can learn from the homeowner, and I think this doesn't apply in every situation, but in some situations it does, and that is the homeowner oftentimes takes a lot of pride in their work. Now you say, Jason, I got a homeowner next to me that takes no pride in his work. His yard looks awful. I understand that. And I'm not talking about the extreme guy who wants to spend all day, every day out there working in his yard. But I'm talking about the person that just has a good yard, and they get out there on the weekend and take care of it, and they take their time and they want it to look good. And I do think there's some truth to the professionals sometimes get overloaded with their schedule, or they're just in a hurry, or even worse, they just don't take that much pride in their work and they're sloppy. So I think there's a lesson to be learned there. We can slow down what we're doing, make sure that when we're done, we can look at that yard and say, wow, that looks good. We did a good job on that yard. And not every lawn care professional does that, and I'm sorry to say that. The next thing I want to mention that the the pro can learn is just use some common sense sometimes. What I mean by that is sometimes the professional's get in such a big hurry that it rained 2 inches last night and gonna get out there with a 60-inch zero turn and run up the yard. Where the homeowner's like, I'm gonna use some common sense and I'm not gonna put a big mower on my yard. Again, it goes back to the pride in their work. They may have to push mow it that day if they're gonna cut it, or may have to wait a day. And I understand the professionals trying to get done. They got a lot of customers, got a lot of yards. I understand that. But sometimes your common sense has to kick in. I'm not going to go rut up somebody's yard. That's just an example with the rain. It could be something else. But another example, maybe it hasn't rained in a month, and I know this gets touchy because the lawn guy still wants to get paid. But you go out there and cut somebody's grass that doesn't need cut at all. I mean, just doesn't need cut at all. Actually might be harmful to cut it shorter during a drought stressed time, because now you put a little bit more stress on the yard. It would have been better left it longer to handle the drought better. So you need to think about that as well. The third thing I want to mention is the regular maintenance. Some of the homeowners whose yards look the best, they're just very regular. Now I know sometimes, you know, from a lawn care perspective, somebody hires you and they want you to cut the grass every 2 weeks. It is what it is. I mean, 2 weeks is honestly not enough for grass during this peak growing season. Maybe certain kinds of grass. You got a centipede lawn, maybe you can go 2 weeks. I don't know. But weekly is definitely better in most situations, at least during peak growing season. If you got cool season grasses in spring, it's growing a foot a day, seems like. When you're gonna go 2 weeks, I mean, you're gonna be out there basically bush hogging. Well, some of the homeowners whose yards look really good, they're out there mowing it regularly, consistently. You know, they take time to change up their mowing pattern. You know, I got one customer in mind, and he's out there with a push mower cutting his pretty big front yard. He cuts it, you know, and then he might change his pattern up and go a different way the next time. The yard looks great. I mean, I'll say, yeah, it's gonna look better than most of the lawn care professionals I've seen. Again, he's got more time, but he's taking his time, and he's not doing anything crazy. He's out there push mowing, so he's not matting down the grass and things of that nature. So, you know, just using some common sense when it comes to things like that. The fourth thing I want to mention is watering. And now there's homeowners that'll screw this up big time. I tell people, I think sometimes people hook up an irrigation system in their home. They want to see that thing run. They want to see it run 7 days a week. But again, the ones who do it right, and I tell people, I say, hey, in our area, I don't run it all in the wintertime, but about May, I'd turn your irrigation on, run it, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes per zone once a week, early in the morning. So set it for 4:30 a.m., 20 to 30 minutes per zone once a week. That's a lot better than running it 7 days a week for 5 minutes or whatever. You know, if you keep watering over and over and over, you lead to fungus and more weed problems. And you know, I go out there, it's 95 degrees, ain't rained in 3 weeks, and I'm squishing in somebody's backyard. And I'm thinking, man, you know, this is not normal grass growing territory. You are not helping, and I don't know what your water bill is. So a homeowner that has good common sense, they understand that, hey, I'm going to water my grass, you know, and they actually look out there and say, my grass is brown and I need to water it, or I need to water it even better yet before it turns brown, because I've looked at the 2-week forecast and there is very little chance of rain. So, I mean, that could go both ways. I know the lawn pro can tell the guy, hey, water your grass, you need to water your grass. But a lot of times the homeowner that really takes care of his yard understands the importance of water. And the last thing, and this may be the most important of all of what the pro can learn from the homeowner, is not always, but I think is actually enjoying your work. For a lot of people in the lawn care business, they're mowing grass for a living, and I think over time it wears on them, and they just get where they don't enjoy it anymore. It's just a grind. I gotta get it done, and they lose enjoy. Now, what would be great if you meet somebody that's been doing it for a long time and they still enjoy it, maybe even more so than they used to. But a lot of people get burnt out on it. So I think the homeowner, that not, you know, some of them don't enjoy it at all either. But again, I'm thinking of certain ones, and they actually enjoy the process of getting out there taking care of the lawn. And you can go to the extreme and think about the person that's out there real mowing their yard every day or every other day, and they really enjoy it. They enjoy it almost too much. But you know, I think for us professionals to be able to find some joy in our work, take pride in our work, take our time, do an excellent job, and to look at the results and how we transform lawns and make them look a lot better, there should be some enjoyment in that. Thanks for watching. You can add to the list if I left anything out in the comments. If you want to get into weed control and fertilization or mowing grass or lawn care profession, you can go to lawncarelife.com. We've got resources, including the Weed Control and Fertilization Academy. That's for people that want to get into weed control and fertilization, that live in the area with warm season grasses. I'll teach you how to do that. There's pricing charts, there's other stuff over there. And the hot tip is if you go to the lawncarelife.com and sign up for the email list that pops up, you'll get a 10% off coupon. So that helps a lot of people if you want to do that, used for the different resources available. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.